beautiful people of the YouTube world. I am back with another video that I promised I would be. Um, this one basically I'm gonna be going over the fun, thrilling ride and adventure of living with depression for over like a decade, and anxiety and toxic relationships and just the shabam, the whole shabam. I want to get right into my first encounter with anxiety was when I was in church. I was like 6 or 7. They were explaining the concept of hell to me, and I felt like they did a good job. Well, they were trying to do a good job, but I was like 6 or 7. So you guys gotta like sugarcoat it at least a little bit, or just at least withhold some things from me. I don't know, but like I started to think about my family members, and I was like, they're not doing right. I don't want them to go to hell. I can't go to heaven, and they're in hell. I'll feel selfish, um, and lonely, and like just hurt, and then I ended up having an anxiety attack, and like I don't really remember too much of my life from that moment. I just know that I wasn't happy. I've had certain dreams about like what may or may have not been happening during that time, but that's another video for another day. Um, so, I just wasn't happy. I started to feel extremely lonely. At this point, I got kicked out of two private schools, mostly because, my kindergarten teachers in Catholic school and my third grade teacher when I was in Lutheran school, they were one of those teachers that like if they knew the kids' parents didn't really care too much about their kids, like they would take advantage of them, which humans do. Like when someone is not really cared for, they're an easy target to release anger and whatever. And my parents never went to the school to find out why I was getting kicked out or why I was behaving like that. They never asked me. They just kind of like, whooped me and said a lot of harsh things to me, which my parents did a lot. Um, and home life, I started off as daddy's little girl. And then once my dad's parents came to America, everything in the family dynamic changed because I lived with my parents for the first 9 years of my life. But my dad's parents came when I was like 7, and they flipped the switch on everything that we normally did in the family, which was like have fun. We used to ride our dad's back like a giddy up horsey, and we play around. And once his parents came, like everything switched. So I didn't get that daddy daughter love that I used to get. And on top of that, I don't think my mom's ever liked me a day in my life. And at 21 years old, I can still say that. And like, I don't know if that's ever going to change. I don't know if that's ever going to be fixed. It's not something that I'm like really like crying over anymore. I've gotten over it. So I'm just like, maybe my mom might never love me. Maybe it's just that's how it's going to be. And I'm fine with that. God loves me, and that's all that matters at this moment. And So, I had two other siblings. I had an older brother and sister. My stepbrother would come over time after time, but like mostly like I would live with my brother and sister, and they did their own thing. We all kind of just did our own thing. Like we'd watch TV together, but like when it comes to like really like doing our thing, we all did our own thing. So I was mostly just in my own little world of La La Land, which I enjoyed so much because in my own world, I felt like I was in control, and I got to I came up with so many stories with like the perfect family. And still to this day, like when I'm just bored, I just go into my La La Land, and there's perfect family members, everyone's best friends, and there's so much love, and it's like a coping mechanism that I still haven't outgrown. But I just became so lonely like at that moment, and it didn't help that I was being called hash brown at school, which sounds crazy now. Like I've been called hash brown over a million times in my life since third grade. Literally, the curse of hash brown happened the first day of public school, and went home crying about it, and my mom was like, "I'm not putting you back in private school, so suck it up, deal with it." And there were other things people were making me fun of me for, like my mom, like in Broward, you don't have to wear a uniform like in Miami, like, and even in private school. And my mom made me wear a uniform anyways. Like she literally bought me unisex like collared shirts, like green, navy blue collared shirts, and like khaki pants and navy pants. Super embarrassing. Um, so I got picked on for that. My hair wasn't always done the prettiest. I got picked on for that. So it didn't help that I felt so alone at home, and I also was getting bullied at school. And I just started to feel so alone. At this point, I was 8. I just felt, because I was in third grade, I felt so alone, and just one day I just started thinking, and I'm just like, why am I here? Like, I don't think I have purpose, any purpose being alive. Like, I feel like I'm just wasting space. There was a lot of things that my parents would comment and say when they were upset with me sometimes, and it started to like get into my head to the point where I wrote a suicide letter. 3, actually. They were all the same, but like the same thing, but like for 3 different like locations I was gonna send them to. So my plan was to, the first one I distributed was to my sister, and I put it either underneath, like underneath her mattress, like between her mattress and like the base of the bunk bed, or in the drawer. I don't remember which one, but I left it there, and then I was gonna leave one for my third grade teacher, Miss Reyes, and I was gonna put it on her desk before I left for school, before we all walked out, so she can see it when we come back, and I'd be long gone by when she comes back to the classroom, because they have to walk us to the buses. So by the time that she reads it, I'd be long gone, and I was gonna hand one to my parents before I went to the bathroom and did whatever I was planning on doing to kill myself. I don't remember how I was gonna do. I just knew I was gonna go to the bathroom and do something. So um so I was brushing my teeth that morning. I had already put it under my sister's bed. I didn't think she was gonna go, or wherever I put it, drawer bed. And I didn't expect her to find it so soon, but she did, and she showed it to my parents, and there was a whole thing. Everyone was crying, everyone was making a scene. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, these people clearly don't like me when I'm alive, and now they're crying because I want to die. And you would think, like, like I wasn't thinking, like, not at all, that like, oh, they're crying because they love me. I'm like, no, they're crying because like now what? Now what are you guys crying about? And to this day, I don't think they were crying because they loved me. I just think like that's just like a proper thing you do, or like I don't know. I don't know. And so after that, I was like, crap. Now I can't kill myself. Because everyone's so sad, and I don't want to like die and make everyone suffer, but me living also makes everyone suffer. And I just kind of got into a deep state of depression. And I just hated myself. Every time someone would get bullied at school, I'd step in front of them and be like, bully me instead of this person, like, because I just felt so unworthy and just worthless, and I'm literally just dragging on. I felt like God hated me and he wanted me to suffer. I'm like, I don't know what I did wrong, but God wants me to suffer and live this life, because I would literally pray to die. Um, it was just it was just a whole thing. And fast forward, my parents got divorced. That was a whole situation. And then fast forward to middle school, and I went to a majority Hispanic school, and most of the kids there were extremely racist towards Haitian people, which I knew was an issue throughout Miami, but that was between African Americans and Haitian people. But that kind of died down like in the 2000, like the early 2000s. So like it was still my childhood, but like not the whole thing. But like I was in middle school in like 2000 and like 10, 2012, so area. I mean era, but I don't know. And the kids were super racist towards Haitian people, and they would say just such disgusting things like, oh, that they wish during an earthquake half that island would have sunk just for the Haitians to be gone, like they were dirty, and just the things that they said. Like I'm not going to hold anyone accountable for what they said when they were 12, because I have some people from middle school who did say harsh and racist things towards me. I do have them on social media, and I'm over it. Like, like it happened like almost 10 years ago. And, so I'm not still stuck on it, but like, it hurt a lot, to the point where I didn't like Hispanic people for the longest. Like every time I hear someone speak Spanish, I'd be like, And like even now to this day, like there is some like there's some there's some residue left from that. That I don't date Hispanic men, and I've been attracted to one Hispanic guy um my whole life. Well, I guess two at this point. But like I've never dated a Hispanic guy and whatever. And like, the whole shebang. But then so I moved to Orlando for ninth grade year, high school. And I went to a very diverse school, which was like the first in my life. Like after private school, I most of my schools were like all black, or like not all black, majority black, or majority like Hispanic, which was middle school. But like elementary school was full black, Hispanic was in middle school. And then I go to high school, and I'm going to school with like Asian people, white people, um, Muslim people, Indian people, like just such a diverse group. So no one was really like racist, I would say, or like openly racist at least. Because if you come for one person, there were like no outcasts. So if you come for one race, they'd have a group to back them up. So no one was really racist in high school. My situation with high school was mostly like my friend groups and the people that I chose to hang around with, because just because it was kind of like at some point it turned into like a self destruction, and that's what I used to call it. Like I'm literally self destructing. Like was it self or was it self destruction? It was self something, but basically, I knew I was in a lot of toxic friendships. A lot of the girls that I hung out with were envious of me, and I'm not just saying that to gas myself up. Like they literally would do things, and I'm a very observant person, and I could see clear as day that a lot of my friends, like everything I would do, like every time I would get like a new outfit or I'd get my hair done, they'd say something for me to feel ugly or whatever, which I didn't. But like I can tell like they didn't want me to be like happy, and they didn't have my best intention in mind. Every time I would talk to a guy or had a crush on a guy, all of a sudden they would want to be friends with him. Um, they were the kind of friends that I knew that if I got into a physical fight with someone, that they'd probably jump in for me and fight the other and help me fight the person. But like I knew that like going through depression, I couldn't open up to them because they'd probably just put my business out. Um, and I also got into a lot of like situationships in high school. Um, just I was just out there collecting souls, as I call it, and just like not knowing my worth. Like I'd get mad and I'd literally be like, okay, I'm gonna go destroy my life. Literally, like that's literally how my mind was, like my mindset was in high school. Um, but by the time I left high school, I only kept my best friend from high school, and a good friend of mine was a guy from high school. I'm no longer friends with either of those people. Um, but that's a good thing. Me and my best friend, we were like this. We were like sisters. People thought we were sisters. Some people thought we were twins. I just assumed like we just all look the same, right? But so yes. So when I was in college, there was a whole situation where I lended my best friend at the time something, and she was moving out of the state to Boston, and I asked her to return it before she moved away for obvious reasons because I wanted my stuff back. And it turned into a whole thing that it didn't need to turn into. And she was very selfish and very rude to me. And she hung up the phone on me. And I'm like, I have way too much pride to call her back. I didn't do anything wrong. If she wants to apologize one day, she'll apologize. I'm going to forgive and forget. And I won't speak to her until she apologizes to me. And so we didn't talk for like 3 months, and during that 3 months, I got into a relationship, super toxic relationship. But that's a whole another story for a whole another day. That whole relationship, I feel like deserves its own video. But it was a relationship that pushed me towards God. So, you know, when bad things happen, there is good that can come out of it. Um, So basically, me and her didn't talk for 3 months. And then one day she called me having like a whole mental breakdown. And I was, she apologized and we got back to being friends. She moved back last January to Orlando, and we became close again. And we even moved into this apartment that I'm living in right now together. And it literally lasted about 4 months. After that whole relationship that I was in, I made a vow to myself that I would never put myself in a situation where a man could ever feel like he can disrespect me the way the guy that I was with disrespected me. And while I was thinking about, upping my standards for relationships, I'm like, why don't I up my standards for friendships? Because I don't really have too much friends. And if I want to have friends in my life, like the new friends I have, they're going to need to be built different. Like they're going to need to be better than the friends I hung out with in high school. I don't want to just have friends just for convenience. I want to have friends that actually care about me. So I wrote a whole list and I started to like practice that and put in, to have more respect for myself. And, my best friend at the time, like I said, me and her were best friends like since I moved to Orlando. So like we were best friends for like 5 years. Probably would have been 6 years this year. But we were best friends. And when I upped my standards, I noticed that she didn't seem comfortable with me being confident and being happy. And I was like, I think she misses me being depressed all the time and like super like sad and whatever. And which does happen because misery loves company. And when misery loses company, misery, I don't know. I don't know what misery does. But like, people who are miserable like to be with other people who are miserable. We complain together. I complain about a lot of things now too. But like back then we used to just complain about everything, literally everything. Um, and I guess that was like the thing that held us together was like gossiping and complaining and just talking crap. And once I bettered myself and I grew up, which you're supposed to grow up as you get older, um, she just didn't want to. And it caused a big rip in our friendship to the point where we got into a physical fight. I'm not a fighter. I've been in two fights in almost 21 years of my life. I'm going to be 21. Ooh, I'm old. But we got into a fist fight and it ended our friendship because I have no respect for anyone who can ever put their hands on me for no reason. Um, and obviously she doesn't live here anymore. Um, it was just a very overwhelming experience, but it was kind of like the book was closed on just toxic friendships and relationships. Um, well, not really closed. I don't want to say closed, but like I started to like pay attention more to like you know what? I think I shouldn't show people the bad sides of me because I don't want them to fall in love with it. If I'm upset about something, let's pray about it. Or I can vent, but then I'm like, okay, in the middle of me venting, saying, okay, this is not going to be permanent. And like, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, so me and her are not friends anymore. I have new friends now. Don't have a new best friend, but I have new friends now. Um, I'm I'm making this channel now. I am growing. I am moving on. I am trying to follow the path that God has set before me, trying to do what's right. Of course I stumble, of course I fall, but I just wanted to talk about like the stuff that I went through during depression, like the toxic friendships and stuff like that. Um I haven't had a panic attack in a year and a half. And I used to have those things like once a month type stuff. And I just feel so free now, like not being depressed. I have a soft spot for people who are depressed and anxious, but I'm starting to like, I have to work on not putting, like, my whole life, I've been taking that, where Jesus said, put others above yourself. I took that to the point where like I would literally hurt myself in order to please others. And we're working on that. Rome wasn't built in one day or rebuilt. I'm not gonna be fixed in a week, okay? So I'm a work in progress. And yeah, so I that's just like the quick thing about my depression. That was 20 minutes. That was not quick. But that's just pretty much like the gist of like my whole depression journey. Um I don't know when I'm gonna launch my next video. Hopefully in a couple more days. I've like already recorded like the audio. I just need to like write down the notes and put out the video. But that's the video. If I left anything out, I'll just make another video. And yeah. So thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you watched the whole thing. God bless. Be safe out here in these streets and love you.